It's another episode of Wearable Today, episode number 94, Graphic Non-White Space Characters in ASCII. Jeffrey Powers here. We've got a great show for you. Today we're going to be talking about VR, virtual reality. Look, you can see me from the side. Look, you can see me from the back. Look, you can see me from the side again. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Apple and their VR efforts, Samsung and their VR efforts. We're going to talk about My Chronos. We're going to talk about 4D rides in amusement parks. All that and a whole bunch more in our favorite show we like to call Wearable Today. It's our favorite show. Yeah. It's brought to you by CashFly. Go over to CACHEFLY.com for a 14-day free trial. And, of course, over at MakerMax, we're a proud member over at max.maker.com. Hey, everybody. How you doing? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think Magazine, put in the geek. That's where you can find me Twitter-wise. And, of course, as always, my co-hosts in crime, Mr. and Mr. Is it Mr. Luke and Miss Birdie or what?
Sure. Let's go with that. Hey, everybody. Luke Wallace here. You can find me on Google Plus at +Luke Wallace, on Twitter at Luke Luca, or on Instagram at Luke Luca, or on Facebook. Although I probably won't friend you on Facebook, but I have a lot of public posts out there.
Why wouldn't you friend anybody on Facebook?
That's not what I use Facebook for.
What do you use Facebook for?
For communicating with people I know.
Okay. All right.
So,
okay, there you go. It's actually a very valid point. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show in a little segment we call Big Arms Little News.
Really? Big arms?
Really? Like how I did that?
I noticed.
People have noticed. We'll find out.
So first up, Apple is building VR. According to the Daily Mail, Doug Bowman has joined Apple. And as a former director of human-computer interaction with a focus on VR, analysts are thinking that this points to some big changes at Apple. No other information is really known at this time, but the fact that Apple is getting behind VR points to a very interesting 2016.
Yeah, what they said.
Yeah,
yeah,
it does.
That's what they said. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, that's all we know. That's all anybody else knows.
There's not much to that, except there's this guy that works at Apple that is pretty good at VR and has done a lot of research into it. So
I'm pretty good at VR. I sit down in the basement with the VR system like this. Ooh.
Yeah. So he does it. He gets paid to do it, I guess. So.
That's true. I don't get paid to do it. I could get paid to do it. It's very possible. I get paid to flick this Sharpie like this. That's pretty much it. So, all right, let's move on from there. 4D rides at amusement parks have been pretty popular for a while, but what if you could look around and you enjoy the experience of VR or AR? And for those of you who don't know, VR is virtual reality, AR is augmented reality, and the difference is, Luke, you know the difference?
Yes. VR creates the entire world around you. It's an entire virtual reality that exists, whereas augmented reality takes the reality that you have around you, the real world, and then adds things on top of it. That's where the augmented part. So it would be augmenting with an additional piece of information.
Bing, bing, right there. You get the point.
Yes.
1 point for you.
How many am I up to? What's my score?
1.
1. Ooh, new high score.
And you just lost it. You're back down to 0.
Oh, so. Okay.
All right, so Darren Brown's Ghost Training will be on a new type of experience where you are inside an actual train car suspended 10 feet in the air. That's what that little picture's for. Multiple participants would be able to ride the experience all at once, but the play out is how it's going to play out is yet to be determined. The ride's going to be launching at Thorpe Park in London later this spring. So if you're in the London area, it's a coming.
Very cool. Okay. And that's not your experience where it's like you're in a train. Like, no, they're actually putting a train car up in the air.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk around on it. And then you'll have this, it says like 10-minute ride, basically, with like different endings and stuff. It's crazy. So
it's like a choose your own adventure?
Something like that. Yeah, very, very interesting. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have a feeling that'll be one to at least read the reviews of, try to figure out what that's actually like. It sounds really cool, though.
Yeah, very cool. So, all right, let's go to the only article we're apparently going to be reading that doesn't have to do with VR. Oh, no, there's 2 articles. Never mind. This is one of 2.
Okay, so My Chronos is a new Swiss company focusing on building smartwatches. Their new Z-Round watch connects to Android and iOS devices, and it runs its own custom software. Now get this, it's only $99, which provides a really nice entry-level option for people who are only concerned with making calls, getting notifications, and of course the basic fitness tracking. So you can look for it to launch of March in this year, which is just a few weeks away now. And I think that review is over at this site called geekazine.com. Have you ever heard of this? Did they take magazine and put in a geek or something?
I've never heard of this Geekazine thing. It's kind of weird.
Geekazine?
Geekazine.
What's this Geekazine? Geekazine.com.
Geckazine. I have no idea. So
Geekazine?
Right. Well, it must not be a very popular or important site. So,
never heard of it.
No, actually, I went to when it was one of the CES videos, and in fact, I have a second one today, the Fitbit Blaze, which is up on Geekazine. You can check that out as well, which is a pretty interesting smart. Well, it's now on the smartwatch range as opposed to a fitness wearable, doing the full crossover back and forth, but still no in-app type stuff. Everything is controlled through Fitbit. So, but you can check that out as well over on Geekazine or Geekazine or Geekazedi or I am Geekazed. Kal-El, you are mine. I'm Geekazed. Oh, wait. Let's move on. Samsung is... What? Oh.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, anybody that's not watching the show is going, oh my God, this is just... Finally, Samsung is doubling down on VR, that's virtual reality, taking on the task of producing more VR, that's virtual reality, content themselves. They're opening a studio in New York City. New York City! They're opening a store in New York City to build the experience, which will likely be exclusive. Exclusing? What is exclusing?
I don't know what that word would be.
Exclusive, maybe, but not exclusive.
Yeah.
It'll be likely exclusing to Samsung devices initially. And of course, Marco is in New York, and he is. We can send him over there and take a look at what's going on with Samsung. So, and I'll check my contacts with Samsung and say, hey, what's going on with this VR thing? And of course, they did big stuff at CES dealing with VR, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But anyway, that does it for this segment we call Big Arms Little News. Nice question. Right? Raggy, what do you mean here?
The arms.
So
big. Technically, they'd still be pretty big, even on a Tyrannosaurus. I'm sure the arms are actually pretty big. They're just relatively small.
Something like that. So, Luke, anything? We took last week off because of CES. It kind of drained the news system, and everybody was going, "Oh, let's recoup before we do anything more wearable." So there was no news last week. That's why we didn't do a show. But so you had a week off. What'd you do? How was your life?
Life's good. Enjoyed the break. I've been working on some wearable tech. I've got some updates on some of the stuff I've been working on. You mind if I show some stuff?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Well,
but go ahead anyway. So.
Okay. So even though Jeffrey doesn't like it, so if you're listening, I'll try to explain, but the video would be better in this case.
Wake me up when it's all done. So I'm just going to take a nap here.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll wake you up. So, you may remember this little board that I showed. Watch the snoring or mute your mic.
What? Oh.
Yeah. So there's this little board that I had that I wired up with a little audio jack, and now I added a little switch so I can actually turn it off and on, and it's been on now. So that'll be nice. And I made up a little case for it. Well, I've been working on that, and I've got a new version of this case hold on. Birdie is chewing on stuff, so I need to stop her. And then,
yeah, you don't want her to chew on your cords that you just
yeah,
together.
she's done that too many times now. So basically, I'm showing you the wrong side. Got this little board, and it fits inside of this little case, and it's got some little holes in it for headphone jacks and stuff like that. So I'm working on that. Pretty good. The other big thing that I've been working on for some wearable tech is this is the eye from my C3PO. You see it's yellow because it was cast in a yellow resin. And this red one, which you may not recognize because it's red, is actually 3D printed. And so what I did is I took the measurements off of the cast one and kind of designed my own that would be compatible. And it's not an identical copy of it, but it tries to match a lot of the measurements as best I can. It also is a little more 3D printable because instead of having these edges that come straight out, it actually has some angled edges to them. So the idea is you can print them without support, but to make it go faster, and then it's easier to clean up at the end as well. So there's some benefits to it, but it ends up being basically the exact same physical dimensions on the outside, so it fits inside my C3PO head.
Cool. And okay, so that is pretty cool. So when do you expect all that to be in there?
What do you mean? Like,
I have no idea.
Finished?
Yeah.
So I'm actually just trying to make up a bunch of different components so that if I were to break something, let's say my helmet gets dropped, and I mean these little ribs are very thin, and that would be so easy for someone to break, by accident. And so I really just wanted to have a way to print out replacements, so that I would have backup ones, or if I wanted to make up an alternate eye that could hang out or whatever, like you see in some of the thing.
My eye's hanging out, bling bling bling.
Exactly, which happens in the Star Wars movies. So it'd be nice to have extra ones instead of having to hook everything up to the one I've got and then take it apart. And so I can basically just have extra copies of them.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. Well, can't wait to see how that works. Even with the Force Awakens, spoiler alert, not really. Where C3PO had the red arm. So, the red might, it might just be a spare part.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe that's why it's red because it was 3D printed. So maybe that's what I'll do is I'll just leave them all red. And then it's like, well, if I need to replace them, I can just say, oh, maybe you didn't recognize it because I've got this red eye.
Watch out. C3PO's got pink eye.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to work on my C3PO voice, and maybe I'll get you some phrases that you could use for your costume.
I definitely am going to be looking for audio to use in that thing.
Yeah. And if I can't, well, I've never really tried a C3PO voice, but R2D2, where are you?
Wow, that's pretty good.
It's actually
pretty good.
So yeah, I could do different voices and try and match it a little bit. And I'm still working on my Morgan Freeman right now. You want to hear a little bit of that?
Oh, sure.
Andy Dufresne. So we're here at Wearable today, trying to figure out what the best type of wearables are in wear tech. How is it?
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. It's not like my Scooby-Doo. It's not like my... Hey, like, hey, Scoobs, there's a monster over there.
Oh, those are much better.
Those are better, yeah. So, anyway.
Takes practice.
It does take practice, So sometimes you work on it, and all of a sudden it just kind of pops in there, and you're like, oh wow, that's how that works. And then sometimes you try and nothing happens. But yeah, that's how life is. So, all right. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. It's been a very productive couple weeks. Came back from CES and started putting videos up on Geekazine, as you saw, with the Mike Kronos, and then, of course, the Fitbit Blaze, and some other wearables coming up, wearable stuff coming up there. And then last week, I was actually at a show. It's called NAMM. It's the North American Music Merchants. And the whole idea is this is like new technologies, the new cool stuff that's going to be happening for musicians. And wearables are definitely definitely a big part of that. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple right here. First of all, maybe I'll show you a couple right here. There we go. Hey, had to think for a second there. So what this is a device that hooks up into certain Taylor guitar acoustic guitars, and what this does is this will then tell your smartphone that the guitar there might be too much or not enough humidity. The battery level might be too low, so if you start playing a gig or something like that, you might want to change out your battery. But the most important one is the impact. So a lot of people take their instruments on the road. They have people handling it, especially if they take it on planes. They have agents throwing them in the plane. So this will actually tell them the impact of that guitar took while it was in flight or whatever. So you could go back to the airline and say, hey, look, this is, I understand a little bit of bumping and growing, but this is just ridiculous, and go from there. So that was one of the things right there. The other one, our friends over at Blue Mics, they developed like the Snowball mic and stuff like that. They have this new headphones. It's called Lola. And with Lola, it's just hi-fi headphones. For those of you who are looking to do things such as, if you're listening to albums and stuff like that, you can you use the Lola drivers because they're high-end drivers. I think they're 50. What'd she say? 50 watt driver. I can't remember the whole thing. I got a video on it. But lots of cool stuff there. And then, of course, this is the big one. Since we're talking about VR today, this is the Aerodrums VR drum set right here. So as the kid was banging around in the air, he's actually banging around on drums, and we saw some drum sets like that. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. That was the big one right there. Of course, there were some other VR displays out there. Like for instance, you went to the Yamaha booth, and there was you put on a more augmented reality rather than virtual reality, because now we know the difference. Mm-hmm. And we got to see a famous drummer playing and talking about why these drums are so cool, and then you could switch to another type of drum set and do that and go back and forth. So there were some other wearables techs out there. But these were just a few things that I saw and found on my picture roll, because I took a ton of pictures, because it was my first NAMM. It was very awesome, very exciting. I get to learn about new products coming up, not only for wearable, but also for podcasting, for recording music, new guitars, new drums, lots of 3D printed and etching type things. So you could actually get a guitar made where they would take the wood, and before they put it together with the guitar, they could etch like your logo or something like that into the guitar. And there was the Rumors drum from DW, excuse me, and it had Fleetwood Mac, the Rumors, the logo, the of the two kind of standing and sitting all across the drum, and it wasn't painted; it was all inlaid, sketched. But it looks like somebody painted it, and that's pretty cool.
So what was that mic's name?
The what?
The mic from Blue?
Oh, no, that wasn't a mic. That was a set of headphones.
Oh, headphones. What were the headphones named?
Lola.
Its name was Lola?
Lola. Lola. Lola.
Ah.
I think you met her in a club down in Old Soho. But I'm not sure. I think that's where you drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola.
How do you spell cola?
COLA. Cola.
Oh.
So, anyway.
I like that.
Really cool stuff. Lots of stuff at the NAMM show. And, of course, I got to see some great artists and performances. Just an amazing time. Graham Nash was honored And I got some video up on Geekazine on youtube.com/Geekazine for that. So, and then I got home and I got some really cool stuff. I got Keurig Cold. While I was at CES, I did a thing about that. So Keurig, of course, making their cold version of their coffee maker. They have the Keurig Cold, and I got one, and that thing it's big. And the funny thing is, it's also like a mini refrigerator, because you gotta set it up, and then you gotta plug it in, and then you gotta wait 2 hours for it to cool down enough to make your first soda or drink or whatever, which I think is a major downfall to that, but neither here nor there. I'm still testing it. The soda tastes great. In the end, the soda does taste great. It's just a question of time and probably money, how much it's going to cost to make that soda, as opposed to some other ways that are a lot easier and cheaper and faster. Simple as that. So, and then I also got this. This is from our friends over at Case Logic. This is the Kumar. Oh, I had the name in my head and now I lost it. So, on the bag. It's a camera bag, basically. So, you zip up the front and contrast. That's right. Thank you. You zip it up, and there's the all the little pockets inside there, and then on the top, it's a quick draw for your camera. So in the top, you can pull out your camera like that, and be able to put it away really quick, so you can take the shot when you do. Of course, I don't do too much DSLR stuff. I do all consumer camera stuff, like the camera that I'm recording off of. So in like little cameras like this, travel camera and GoPros and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put it in the bag, figure out how to do it, and then of course I'll do a full video on that. So that's some of the wear tech that I got in the last couple weeks, and having a lot of fun with it.
Sounds good.
So
I really like that bag.
Yeah,
those are really nice. I've got one kind of like that, a little different style, not quite that big, but I really love it with all the padded dividers and stuff. It's really, really nice.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I've always wanted to have a camera bag for my stuff, and but I always pack my bags to the gill when I'm going for travel, because of limited space, and you never know what you need when you're on the road. So I've been trying to figure out how to pare it down. Now I have a good understanding of what I need for each gig. And this trip to NAMM was probably the least amount of stuff that I took with me. Granted, it was also the least amount of days at an event, so it just kind of worked itself out. But same idea there. So anyway, so that's what happened to me. So that's it for this week. So let's move on. Let's get into our thing we call Fund Me, which is a segment where we look at crowdfunds in technology and wearable tech. And this week we've got this thing right here. It's called the FitPal. And let's we're gonna do something different here. I'm gonna block Luke's view, kind of, and we're gonna play the video a little bit. So here's the video.
And you can see it if you have the right tools. We've developed a slim, flexible, waterproof, wearable device that can provide valuable insight on all areas of your fitness, health, and well-being. We have also added our cutting-edge science to give you a new view into your autonomic nervous system, the parts that are responsible for insight on rest, recovery, your immune system, your overall health, if you have health risks, and stress. Yes, you can even view your stress levels in real time and have the tools to help you counterbalance negative stresses. FitPal fits seamlessly into your life and is a comfortable 24/7 patch. It's attached discreetly to the chest or torso area and sends all its amazing insight directly to your phone. Now that's just the beginning of the new information and features available to you.
All right, so that's basically what that is. And what's it called? It's also, once again, it's called FitPal. So it's basically a wearable that is stuck onto your body, and it gets all the stuff like heart rate and and health trends, biological information, stress monitor, heart rate availability, step count, sleep quality, skin temperature, and 24/7 ECG. That's electrocardiographic accuracy and reporting. So it could tell your doctor if you're spiking sometime in the evening or anything like that. So and of course it's pretty small. It's about the size of a Band-Aid, probably a little bit thicker than that. They say about 0.25 inches on the thickness. So it's thinner than an iPhone. That if you ever stick your iPhone to your chest or something like that. So
yeah,
go
nice
ahead.
and small. I'm guessing it doesn't actually like stick. Like I'm guessing you have to have something that kind of holds it against you. That's what I wasn't real sure on. Maybe it's on here somewhere, but how does it actually stick to you?
My guess is it's got some sort of. You get the device and you'll get like these double-sided tape pieces that you will then take the adhesive off and you'll stick it on the thing, and then you'll stick it on you when you're done for the day, or when you need to change it. If it's fallen off, you just take off the tape and put on new tape. That's usually how those work. So,
okay, yeah, it says it can be worn for days, which is kind of interesting that you could actually wear it through several sleep cycles and kind of start to see averages and know that it's all coming from the same like place exactly. Like you haven't taken it off and put it back on, and it's pretty interesting actually.
Yeah, well, and some people would be concerned about, and I know I would have a small concern about the fact that you have this device kind of on you for a couple days, and try and take it off. But if you have a heart issue or anything like that, you've worn sensors for more than one day, that's very possible. But you do have to watch out for things like getting sore. So I'm guessing that one day you'd wear it up here, another day you'd wear it on your torso or whatnot. So it's interesting, and they definitely have some. Let's go back to that. Definitely have some backers on there, as they got 40 days to go, and they're at $62,000 of their $100,000 goal. So lots of backers there. But the other thing that we noticed was, well, what did you, Luke? Why don't you tell them what we noticed? You don't remember?
I don't think I remembered.
What did we do an image search on?
Oh, their logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both, neither of us could do it. So check out the video if you're not watching it and try to figure out how do we know this logo? Because it looks really familiar to me. And we couldn't place it, but it really reminds me of like, I don't know, what was the Shockwave logo or something like that.
Yeah.
Bring that up.
Check that out. So, yeah, we did a small image search, and there was another company that had something very similar to this logo, except that was it. This dot was actually, these two dots were actually connected to each other. So
yeah,
but this kind of is very generic. But I know I've seen it before, and I know you've seen it before, and we're just trying to figure it out. So if you figure it out, let us know. And go from there. So, but anyway, that's the FitPal. You can check that out. It's got 40 days left to go for its where it's going in there, and go from there. So, all right, let's move on from there. Sorry, going a little bit slow. I had some issues here today, and one of them was the lower thirds had problems working, so I had to retool my graphics on the show. So I've been trying to make sure that they've been running properly, because there's been times where they would freeze up and stuff like that. And then the other thing was, I had a piece of hardware that actually goes into the system that helps with the recording, and I can't find the piece of hardware, and it's driving me batty because of the fact that it doesn't leave this area. So there's no reason why I shouldn't, like, oh, it's right there type thing. But and during this whole show, I know I told Luke this at the beginning. During this whole show, I'm still looking around for it, and all of a sudden I'm just going, oh, there it is, right there. And and hopefully I'll find it. But I'll definitely have either found it or found an alternative for the next show, and stop worrying about that. So, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's take a moment to pay homage to our sponsors, or the people that help us out here. First of all, Bandwidth is brought to you by our friends over at Cachefly, CACHEFLY.com. If you're creating a podcast, if you've got an app that needs a place for the images, or videos or anything like that, if you've got whatever you need a CDN for, that's where Cachefly comes in. CACHEFLY.com. They offer high speed response to these files, so you can get all the shows on Wearable Today and Geekazine are all being drawn by Cachefly on Cachefly servers, so you can get the content as quick as possible and go from there. They got a 14-day free trial, and you can try 1 terabyte for free. Just go over to CACHEFLY.com for more information. Also, if you go over to wearabletoday.com/deals, it gets some great deals on wear tech out there. Everything from watches to earbuds to whatever, and even books on wearable technology. And you can do that more. I don't have a graphic up here, so I'll do that for next week. But anyway, that's over at wearabletoday.com/deals. And then, of course, you can always leave a tip by going over to paypal.me/Jeff Powers. PayPal.me/Jeff Powers, and we'll put it in for a show. Of course, say it's for Wearable Today, and we'll put it into the kitty so we can get drinks next time we meet. We've never met face to face.
Maybe we could get some of those Keurig cold drinks.
Ooh, yeah. Get some K-cups for us. So.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I'll get you a drink here.
The Keurig Cold, does it use the same kind of cups, or
no?
It's a different form factor.
Well, it's a different cup system because of the fact that on the top they have these beads which turn that carbonate the water.
Oh.
And I think that's the reason why it's got to be cold, so the water can then activate the beads properly. I'm guessing, but I'm not 100%, of course. So. Yeah, it's a different cup. It's a little bit bigger. So and there's no real chance that it's gonna have a type of cup where you can like use SodaStream soda to put in there. But you never know. Maybe somebody will come up with something if this becomes very popular. But right now, there's no cold cups in the stores at all. That I've seen. I've went to Bed Bath & Beyond. I went to all the grocery stores here in Madison, but nothing yet. So,
yeah.
But anyway,
cool.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. You can leave a tip. So,
yeah.
And then of course you're in your graphics off. So we're just gonna have to talk about your other venture.
Yes, that's right. Besides hosting this popular show, I also run a popular website known as biglettershirt.com. And I can be found dancing on TV with very little sleep whenever a Star Wars movie comes out. So look for me every December now for the next few years while the Star Wars movies continue to come out. But I also run biglettershirt.com, where you can save 10% off by using coupon code WearTech.
There you go, WearTech, and you can go from there. So, all right, let's get into the focus and then get on our ways, and then I'll find out so I can finally find that piece of hardware that I'm looking for so desperately. So.
Yeah.
All right, so, this is the year for the VR goggles. Everybody's saying, virtual reality is going to happen this year because Oculus is coming out, and that it's just the year of VR, as they say. So the industry is implying, basically. Oculus, big name at CES, and of course, if you wanted to check out the Oculus at CES, you had to wait in line for over an hour and a half. And I've been seeing a lot of companies using different types of VR, including Samsung, which we talked about earlier. And, of course, Apple hiring some people for VR to go from there. And so you're going to see a lot in it. And, of course, even at NAMM, I saw, the VR drum set, like a kid playing around in the air and with a pair of goggles on and just having fun with it. and going from there. So I even listened to House of Cards star Kevin Spacey at an AT&T Developer Summit a few weeks ago talk about how VR will change in multiple landscapes, being able to immerse yourself from anywhere. This last weekend, we had the East Coast blizzard, so a lot of people that were going to travel out to shows like NAMM or anything like that, they might have been grounded. They had to stay home. But if you stay home, why not put some goggles on and be in the experience, even though you're not at the experience? So I have a feeling in 5 years, we're going to see virtual reality change a lot of businesses. A good example, and a good example here is, right now we have a choice when we watch movies, especially we saw episode 7. We could see it in 2D, and then, of course, we could get in the 3D experience. And then there were some theaters that were doing a 4D experience where there was sound, or not sounds, but scents and feelings that were brought into the theater so you could kind of get a better experience. Well, just picture this being the VR experience in maybe by episode 9, where you're watching and you have a pair of VR goggles on. It's still projecting something on a screen, but all of a sudden, set of TIE fighters and a set of X-Wing fighters just kind of fly over you, and you're going away. Oh, there they are. And you're just seeing the fight like this rather than looking at a screen. Or you could be in the middle of two people having a conversation, and all of a sudden somebody says something, you're going, oh, and you're just looking at the conversation like that. It's becoming more of an experience. And I could see so many different things, different businesses immerse themselves into VR, such as a movie theater, to bring more excitement into a show. Even though it's a ways away, companies that try to adopt new technologies will be doing it now. So it's not like in 5 years we'll finally see it. It's like we're going to see it now, but it'll be kind of in more of a, not a perfected stage, but more in a more developed stage a few years from now. And that's basically the porn industry. And you think to yourself, well, that's kind of weird, but it's very true. The porn industry adopted VCRs before everybody did, DVDs before everybody did, a whole lot of technologies. Even with Google Glass, they were big on Google Glass because that was something new for the porn industry. Now VR in the porn industry. The AVNs were this last weekend. That's the Adult Video Network Awards show. And usually it would coincide with CES, but they moved it off CES week. So, the two wouldn't intermingle because there was always issues when it did. But anyways, from all the booths that I saw a lot of VR. I saw a lot of stuff where these goggles are being used in some very, well, we'll just say creative ways. We'll just leave it at that when it comes to that. But, eventually, I'm going to lose my Sharpie. Eventually, the rest of the world is going to adopt this type of stuff and go from there. In 5 years, like I said, when episode 9 comes out, I will not be surprised if they have a VR version. It'll cost you like $30 or $40 to go see it, but it'll be a good experience.
Yeah, I don't know because that requires them filming it like that. Yep. But they might film some of it. It might be like some of the IMAX stuff. Like you can go see the IMAX version, but not every scene in the movie is filmed in IMAX. So yeah. I think it'd be cool if they did some of the scenes where you're like, during some space battle, like you can watch it, or you can be looking around and kind of, you're out in space and you can see all the stuff flying around you as it's, as you're watching.
And maybe it will be just something simple like a couple CGI TIE fighters. So you'll look up, you'll see the theater ceiling or something like that, but you'll see the TIE fighters pass by. But eventually, it's going to be a full immersion where you might even be in a chair which swivels around, or not a chair at all, and you're just walking around, being a part of the action.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's some of what I was thinking in mind. Do you want me to go into
ahead.
my stuff here?
Yeah,
we prepared some remarks ahead of time. We actually prepare for this show, if you can believe it or not.
Don't tell them what happens behind the curtain. That's all right. Go ahead.
The great and powerful. I think this year is going to be a big turning point for VR. That's been said basically every year for the past several years that like this is the year of VR. But really, this year we're seeing things we haven't seen before. Like there's finally hardware that's coming out in retail versions, and there's software to back it up. So the Oculus Rift has actually gone into real production. It's like a retail thing, not a developer kit. And I've heard several people say that the HTC Vive is really an amazing experience. That's the one where they have sensors all around the room and on the headset, so they can pinpoint where you are exactly and really, keep track of, your movements much more accurately than something where you're just looking around. So it allows you to move through space a lot more. Microsoft is doing similar with the HoloLens. I mean, we've seen that in development. Like we may actually, I don't know if we'll see retail this year, but we might start seeing more of the retail experience. Google has their Cardboard, which is an introductory kind of simple way to get into VR. They also have Project Tango, which is another kind of augmented reality, virtual reality device. And now Apple, that we talked about, is actually getting into VR. They're bringing on people to tackle those issues. So it's gotten so big in the last 12 months that this year is really going to be, I think, more of a turning point.
Okay.
One of the big issues, though, that I haven't seen addressed is how this will work inside the home. Like people, like it's great at trade shows where people can have virtual drums and they can have these trailers going around with the HTC Vive where you're in this dedicated space. But people don't have that at home right now. Is that what they're expecting? Is people are going to build their own little holodeck with kind of an empty room with some sensors in it? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. But I know that right now, seated experiences in a rotating chair work pretty well because you can look all around you and you can kind of spin and look at stuff. But eventually, people want to move through the space in a more intuitive way. And that'll really be how you'll get to that more virtual reality. And augmented reality, you pretty much have to move around because otherwise you're just looking at what you're sitting in front of. So if people are going to do that, that sounds like that's going to be expensive to me. Maybe they can get these sensors cheap, but this whole the VR systems this year are going to be pretty expensive. For the next couple years, they're going to be expensive. So I don't know if the average person is really going to be able to do that. One sign that I have of hope that it will eventually take off is I think back to the Wii. Yes, the Nintendo console from 10 years ago, I guess now. That actually caused a shift in the living room for a lot of people because they made space for their devices. Like they made space so they could play the Wii, so they weren't just sitting there, so they could get up and they could do the bowling and they could do the tennis. And people really kind of reconfigured their room. And the Microsoft Kinect came along, did very similar. People started opening up their living rooms a little bit more so they would have room to do these virtual activities, or maybe I should say real activities in a virtual world. Yeah. So I can understand VR, like there's a chance that people will do it, but the experience has to be compelling enough and frankly cheap enough for people to want to get into it.
That's a good point. Price is always a big play in any type of device. I like how you mentioned the Wii, because technically I still have a Wii sitting in the living room. We haven't touched it in a couple of years now, but we had the Wii and we had the Wii, the little balance board thing. Mm-hmm. And so people did make space for it, and it's a good point. There's also another company which was also on Shark Tank that made a device that kept you in one spot, but the floor was concave, and so when you walked forward, it would slide your feet back down in the middle, so it felt like you were walking forward, but you were in the same place. So you could do, and this was more for playing games like Rain. I don't know the popular games out there, but get you more into the shooting games. Star Wars Battlefront. That would be a good example. So instead of using a controller, you are the controller. So I could see gamers being big on that and setting up their man caves like that. And then,
do you remember how much that thing cost?
They were shooting for? Yeah, it was a couple. I think over $1,000.
Yeah, I remember. I thought it was like several $1,000s, which for a controller is a lot, especially if you're not sure how long it's going to be used for. So I think that's kind of the thing, is like, if it's something people know that is going to have a lot of support and there's going to be a lot of stuff doing, that uses it, kind of like an HD TV, right? Like, they didn't really take off until there was some HD content. Like, I think it'll be kind of the same thing here, where we're starting to see some of that content come around. And so there's starting to be things you can do, and video games translate very well to it. But there has to be kind of this critical mass where people say, it's worth the amount of money because there's enough content to keep me entertained.
On the other hand, I think people would buy it to buy it. I mean, how many people how many people have a treadmill sitting in their living room and never use it? Now, granted, the treadmill was absolutely free for me, but right now, in the last 6 months, when my back went out, the doctors actually said, and now I officially lost my Sharpie. My doctors officially said that I could not use a treadmill. If I was to do any type of walking, it should be non-treadmill walking, because there's still impact on there. So, so in defense, that's one of the reasons why I haven't used the treadmill.
True, it's a big thing that people bought, and
so I could see them buying something like this, because they're thinking, oh, this is going to be the next thing of gaming, and some big names like I said, Kevin Spacey, who's my understanding is a big gamer, will probably want something like that to kind of get that next level of gaming into his system. So I wouldn't be surprised that would happen. So
I mean, the Oculus is like 500 or 600, or like that's what the first retail one's going to be.
Yeah.
So like, you start getting something down into that, like you said, kind of treadmill range, and people say, oh, well, I could actually do some exercise things on there, and it could also be used for games. Like, maybe $1,000 is like not too bad if you're like, for some people. You could see it starting to get some critical mass there. If it costs $5,000 or $10,000, you're up in Segway territory where people are like, yeah, I wouldn't really use it enough to make it worthwhile at that price.
Exactly. And of course, the best part is we technically already do have some sort of virtual reality goggles, even though they're not great. They don't strap on your head. Some people have taken cardboard and actually put a Velcro strap around it so they can watch what's going on. But it is still a little top heavy, and I haven't downloaded any apps on the iPhone. And even when I look in here, I can kind of see my eyes in the reflection with these lights on. It kind of looks freaky. But the whole point is that we can immerse ourselves into VR already, just like Luke is doing right there. And I'm waiting for you to go moo ha 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 like a mad scientist would, but
definitely looks that way.
So, but anyways, so in the future, we're gonna say it's a future that's happening now, and a lot of feelings. So, let's answer this question, Luke. Do you think that this is the year of VR, or do you think that we're too much in an infancy at this point to really adopt it? And what year do you, what year do you think VR will become go in its golden years?
I would say that this year is the year it starts to have a lot of public awareness, and next year is going to be the year that starts to, like, people start to figure it out. I think this year is going to be getting it in front of enough people to start solving some of the real problems. But 2017 will probably be the year that it really starts to take off, because they'll have finally figured that stuff out, and they'll be marketing it enough, and people will, finally adopt it as something they want. There'll be, of course, a lot of people that'll buy it this year.
Yeah.
But I think that's still we're still in that early adopter phase. Is probably 2016, and 2017 is more of that's when it'll kind of go mass market.
Okay. Well, what I see is in February we have Mobile World Congress.
Mm-hmm.
In March we have South by Southwest. In May we have Google I/O. In June we'll have Apple's WWDC,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course Facebook. I don't know. Maybe Facebook will revive their couple day thing. What was it called? F8 or something like that.
Something.
Yeah. The whole point is that these are the 5 points in the year where virtual reality will have to shine, and if they don't shine at these 5 points, then yeah, it will definitely be next year. I think that we're going to see a lot of concepts come out, and then going towards the end of the year, there's going to, of course, once Oculus comes out, which we know that it's March, was it March 6th, if I remember correct? And, and of course, if you don't have your pre-order in by now, chances are you're not getting it on March 6th, but, you never know. We'll see what happens. But it might even be the push for the 2016 Christmas season. Yeah, we're already thinking of Christmas with getting out the Oculus. And if that becomes the hot item for Christmas, then VR will be here. As simple as that. So.
It's true. It's true. It could be that that we go into 2017 with a whole bunch of these devices finally out. But I think what you said is correct. Like, it really depends on having some content for it that people can get behind and get excited about.
Yeah.
So yeah, like depending on what we see come out of some of those conferences will tell us basically how big it'll be around Christmas, which will tell us, 2017.
Fair enough. All right. So what are your thoughts on this? What you feel free to weigh in. You can always go over to wearabletoday.com, Jeff at wearabletoday.com, Luke at wearabletoday.com, or tweet us directly and go from there. Speaking of which, Luke, where can they find you?
You can find me all over the place. You can email me for this show, Luke at wearabletoday.com, or if you want to reach out to me even quicker, you can find me at Luke Luca on Twitter, Luke Luca on Instagram, or plus Luke Wallace on Google+.
All right. And you can always find me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek, Twitter handle Geekazine, Facebook.com/Geekazine, plus.google.com, plus Geekazine. You get the whole idea right there. So I'm on the internet like I don't know, I can't think right now. I'm still looking for my piece of hardware that I can't find. So this is crazy. This is just I think I'm going insane, I'm getting old. So I don't know, maybe I am. So
we both are.
What? Who are you? Who are you? What? Where am I? What? Oh yeah, Wearable Today. All right, well that does it for this episode of Wearable Today over at wearabletoday.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. If you haven't been, if you've been listening but not watching, and watching but not listening, feel free to do the other thing, because the other thing is just as cool as the first thing I talked about. So, anyway, you guys have fun. Thanks a lot, Luke, for coming out for another episode of funness and wondering where my hardware is and all that other good stuff. And of course, we will be back next week. Schedule right now, we're pretty much clear for the next few weeks, right?
Yeah,
we're good to go. Unless I lose my hardware again, then forget it. So, but anyway, yeah, we will be back next week with another episode of Wearable Today. We're also fast approaching episode number 100.
Ooh,
so
exciting!
Yeah, and we'll go from there. So we'll see you next week. You guys geek out and take care from another episode of Wearable Today. See yas.